Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Reynolds, and today I will be discussing cultural diversity in the workplace. A few key topics that we will be discussing today are: why is cultural diversity in the workplace important? What are the benefits of a diverse workforce? What factors can elicit discrimination? And what are some federal regulations that ensure equal employment opportunities for everyone? Finally, how can we promote cultural diversity in the workplace? So, what is cultural diversity? Cultural diversity is often used interchangeably with multiculturalism and can be defined as a system of beliefs and behaviors that recognizes and respects the presence of all diverse groups in an organization or society, acknowledges and values their sociocultural differences, and encourages and enables their continued contribution within an inclusive cultural context which empowers all within the organization or society. Cultural diversity helps us recognize and respect cultures that are not our own, and also helps us address and unlearn personal biases and negative stereotypes that we may hold on to about other cultures. It also provides us with a lens to view situations, relationships, and work or educational settings in a new perspective. Finally, it helps us to build bridges, respect, and understanding amongst cultures. Cultural competence can be described as the ability to understand, communicate with, and effectively interact with people across cultures. There are 7 actions that are observed in people who are considered to be culturally competent. First, we have recognition of other cultures. Second, respect for differences. Third, acknowledgement of the validity of different cultural norms, behaviors, and contributions. Fourth, valuing what other cultures have to offer. Fifth, encouraging the contribution of those from other cultures. Sixth, empowering others to reach their maximum potential by being aware of their own unconscious biases. And finally, celebrating rather than tolerating differences to bring about a sense of unity and community. So, what is discrimination? Culture is a lens in which we evaluate or judge everything and everyone around us. We compare others' actions to our own culture to determine if their behaviors or norms are proper or improper. This kind of judgment can turn into discrimination. We tend to fear what we do not understand. Discrimination is an everyday reality for many people and many groups, and it is the unfair treatment or biases associated with specific groups of people based on characteristics such as race, gender, age, sexual orientation, and etc. There are 4 types of discrimination observed in the workplace. There's direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, harassment, and finally victimization. In the next few slides, we're going to discuss each form of discrimination and provide an example of each. Up first, we have direct discrimination, and this is where an individual is being treated differently or worse than other individuals because of an underlying reason. For our first example, we have Simon, and Simon works in marketing. He is part of the baby boomer generation, and Simon was not included in a social media marketing campaign because he was considered to be too old to understand the concepts of social media. Although in the past, he has demonstrated the same level of social media expertise as the younger employees on his team. Up next, we have indirect discrimination, and this type of discrimination is less obvious than direct discrimination and is usually unintentional. We can observe this type of discrimination with a policy or rule that is implemented and applies to the entire workforce but has a worse effect on certain individuals. In this example, we have David, who works in a packaging warehouse. A new policy has been implemented that requires all employees to work on Saturdays. However, David is at a disadvantage. He is a devout Jew and he observes the Sabbath from Friday evening to Saturday evening. Up next, we have harassment. And harassment is a situation in which an individual or a group of individuals convey negative behavior to another coworker because of age, race, gender, or sexual orientation. Harassment can include gossip, inappropriate questions, intimidation, or even physical violence. In this example, we have Adila. Adila is a devout Muslim woman and wears a hijab to work. Adila's hijab is an important part of her faith, and she loves to outwardly express her pride in her culture and religion. Adila has begun to feel uncomfortable in her workplace because her coworkers constantly ask her very inappropriate questions, like, do they make you wear that? Do you have hair underneath there? Where are your ears? Aren't you hot? Finally, we have victimization. And victimization is where individuals become a victim of harmful behavior because of something that they have done or because of something they are suspected to have done. And this can include physical, psychological, or emotional damage to the victim. In this example, we have Camilla, and she works in a bank as a teller. 1 year ago, she gave testimony regarding a coworker's sexual harassment claim against the branch manager. Camilla applied for an open position as assistant manager and was denied because the branch manager said he would never forget about her testimony in the sexual harassment claim. What are some factors or characterizations that individuals are commonly discriminated against for? Today we're going to talk about six topics that include age, sexual orientation, race, disabilities, geographic location, and education or work experience. Today we can observe 5 different generations that make up our workforce. We start with the silent generation, born between 1928 and 1945. Up second, we have our baby boomers, who were born between 1946 and 1964. Coming in third, we have our Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980. Next up, we have millennials, born between 1981 and 1996. And finally, we have Gen Z, who were born between 1997 and 2012. Each generation brings with it valuable skill sets and strong characterizations of work style to the workplace. Our silent generation grew up without today's technology and many modern conveniences, and they lived through difficult, adverse economic conditions that helped them establish diligent financial skills. They are known to be dependable, straightforward, and loyal. Up next, we have our baby boomers, and they are known as the generation with the strongest work ethic. They're also known to be workaholics and are very goal-centric. They tend to be very hardworking and value face-to-face interactions. They also feel a sense of duty and commitment to their company. Generation X was shaped by the evolution of personal computers. They are more concerned with personal professional interests than the company's interest. They tend to be self-reliant and hardworking, and it was with this generation that we began to see a shift in valuing work-life balance. Millennials are our largest generation present in today's workforce. They have been the most open-minded on diversity, ethics, and social responsibility than their previous generations. They are very achievement-oriented, and they are known to be the most independent workplace generation. Finally, we have Gen Z. They expect workplace flexibility within their company. They are also the most tech competent. They tend to be very ambitious and are natural entrepreneurs, and they're able to multitask better than any generation. Even with all of these valuable skill sets brought by a multi-generational workforce, it does bring about some challenges. There are likely differences in preferred communication styles and interpretation of tone between the generations. With negative stereotypes, as with any type of diversity, people have preconceived notions about those in a different age group. Older generations may assume that young people are entitled or oversensitive or do not work hard. Youthful employees may think that those that are older than them are inflexible and afraid to embrace technology or change. People from different generations may not hold the same expectations for their employment. Ways that people accomplish their duties, learn from trainings, or expect to have their performance evaluated can vary generationally. However, we do see a lot of benefits from the multi-generational workforce. Combining multiple perspectives and diverse skills drives creative solutions to problems. And those with more years of experience can advise younger employees on career development. The awareness and strengths that each generation offers better prepare the business to meet its future leadership needs with each new generation. And finally, meaningful relationships with coworkers can help meet employees' emotional needs and contribute to job satisfaction. Sexual orientation or sexuality is an aspect of an individual's identity that involves how they identify, the way they experience sexual, emotional, or romantic relationships, the gender of the people that they engage with sexually, emotionally, or romantically, and the gender of people that they are attracted to. There are a lot of benefits of a workplace that is LGBTQIA+ supportive. Some benefits for the individual include because an individual is able to bring their best self to work every day, they experience lower levels of stress and anxiety, resulting in better health outcomes and workplace productivity. They also experience increased job satisfaction and better relationships with their coworkers and leadership. They will also experience greater work commitment and loyalty to their company. Benefits for the company include lower legal costs related to discrimination lawsuits, lower health insurance costs due to better employee health, greater reputation within their community, better reach to a wider target audience because of their support, and more innovative, creative, and productive workforce. The modern meaning of the term race with reference to humans began to emerge in the 17th century. What most definitions have in common is an attempt to categorize people primarily by their physical traits, such as skin color, hair texture, or facial features. Distinctive physical features are associated with large, geographically separated populations. Race has also been applied to linguistic groups, religious groups, political, national, or even ethnic groups, with few or no physical traits that distinguish them from their neighbors. There are no genes that can identify distinct groups that agree with conventional understandings of race groupings. The genetic difference between any two humans is less than 1%. Race is a social construct and has no biological validity and is used to create social division. On this slide, with this table, we can see the differences between race, ethnicity, and nationality. So like we previously discussed, race is physical characteristics that define a person as being a member of a specific group. And some examples of that could include skin color, hair color, eye color, facial features, or physical build. Ethnicity is the cultural characteristics that define a person as being a member of a specific group, and that can include language, accent, religion, style of dress, social customs, food, and dietary preferences or restrictions. Nationality is the legal sense of belonging to a specific political national state, and the example of this is citizenship, birthright, or naturalized. Diverse workers play a vital role in a company's ability to adapt, grow, and sustain a competitive advantage in the global economy. So some benefits of racial and ethnic diversity in the workplace include increased innovation, improved social cohesion, improved accessibility to new and diverse customer markets, greater perspective and cultural awareness, improved problem solving and creativity, and higher productivity and increased revenue. People with disabilities have long been excluded from or underrepresented in the workforce based on low expectations or preconceived notions about their capabilities. Disability is defined as any condition of the body or mind that makes it more challenging for a person with the condition to do certain activities and interact with the world around them. Disabilities can include mobility or physical disabilities, spinal cord injuries, head injuries, vision, hearing, cognitive, learning disabilities, psychological, or invisible, and those are disabilities that are not immediately apparent. The signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act by President George H.W. Bush in 1990 opened the doors for inclusion and employment for millions of people with disabilities. But a culture of stigma and misunderstanding has prevailed, especially in the workforce. There are so many benefits to inclusion of disabled workers within our workforce. Starting with profit margins, the American Association of People with Disabilities reported in 2018 that businesses actively seeking to employ people with disabilities outperform businesses that do not. Revenues were 28% higher, net income was twice as much as average, and profit margins were greater than 30%. Disabled workers are also more reliable. The Department of Labor reported that employees with disabilities take fewer sick days and also had higher retention rates. When an employee with disabilities is matched with a job that accentuates their skill set, they are just as productive or more than able-bodied employees. Disabled workers are no more likely to be injured at work than any other employee. And finally, employees with disabilities bring unique perspectives to the workplace that help improve innovation. A geographically diverse workforce demonstrates many benefits. When a company limits the talent pool to a single geographic area, it limits the unique perspectives and abilities to just one regional area. It is very beneficial to companies to cast a wider geographical net. They get to benefit from the ideas of many versus the few, higher levels of innovation and creativity, improved cultural awareness within the company, and improved team collaboration. There is an ongoing debate of the value of higher education versus work experience. Many employers may require you to have a specific type and level of education to qualify for certain jobs, but it may not always be necessary, and that's where work experience comes into play. So some benefits of higher education. A degree can show that you have specialized knowledge or technical skills that can be transferred or translated to the workplace. But pursuing higher education proves that you can succeed in academia, not necessarily real-world job situations. However, earning a degree or pursuing higher education equals higher income earnings. On the other side, we have work experience. An actual work experience shows what more about you have to offer. Higher levels of teamwork and time management, and acquired important job-related skills that can be valuable to your company. It also requires less on-the-job training, which saves employers time and money. We do have a few regulations and laws that are encouraging diversity. Up first, we have our Equal Pay Act in 1963, which prohibited the discrimination of gender when it comes to wages. Very important one, Civil Rights Act in 1964 outlawed discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. We have the Age Discrimination Act of 1967, which protects employees 40 years of age and older from discrimination during hiring, promotion, compensation, etc. Next, we have the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability. And then another big one here, Americans with Disabilities Act, which was in 1990, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, just like the Rehabilitation Act. And finally, we have the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, also known as GINA, in 2008, which prohibits genetic information discrimination. We have a little excerpt here from the Americans with Disabilities Act. The ADA prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in employment, state and local government, public accommodations, commercial facilities, transportation, and telecommunications. It also applies to the United States Congress. To be protected by the ADA, one must have a disability or have a relationship or association with an individual with a disability. An individual with a disability is defined by the ADA as a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. A person who has a history or record of such an impairment, or a person who is perceived by others as having such an impairment. The ADA does not specifically name all of the impairments that are covered. Another important organization is the American Civil Liberties Union, more commonly known as ACLU. They were founded in 1920 by Roger Baldwin, Crystal Eastman, and Albert de Silver to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties guaranteed to every person in this country by the Constitution and laws of the United States. They generally work in courts, legislation, and communities to defend rights and liberties of the American people. They often file cases that affect the civil liberties or civil rights of large numbers of people, as opposed to individuals. They are nonprofit and nonpartisan, and they provide a voice for those experience racial injustice, LGBTQIA plus discrimination, gender inequality, and disability discrimination. Economic globalization is a key driving factor in the need for a culturally diverse workforce. Cultural diversity in the workplace opens up to new language skills, new ways of addressing tasks or issues, and different experiences. Cultural sensitivity, insight, and knowledge allow the workplace to create a more inclusive environment for not only our peers, but also our customers. Talent is not restricted to one culture. Having a multicultural workforce allows the company to grow by recruiting and retaining the best talent. Diverse teams are proven to be more productive and perform better than non-diverse teams. When colleagues are open-minded to learning from one another, they respect that diversity enhances their collaboration as a team. Culturally diverse workplaces are a key factor in innovation, and workplaces with colleagues from similar backgrounds will have similar ideas, which does not drive innovation or creativity. Diversity allows for creative new ideas and new concepts with unique problem-solving perspectives. A diverse workplace is sure to innovate and be more competitive. Companies with a diverse workforce and clear guidelines on diversity and inclusion are proven to have happier employees, better reputations within their communities, and happier customers. So how can we promote diversity in our workplace? We're going to look at these few key suggestions to see how we can help. We can expand the areas to which the workplace posts our jobs to reach more diverse candidates. We can offer targeted paid internships to underrepresented groups. Consider revising diversity and inclusion policies through a more modern and inclusive lens. Encourage a diverse interview panel for job hiring. By having different perspectives on a candidate, this will help you uncover unconscious biases and will improve the fairness of the recruitment process. Provide diversity training with a safe space to discuss diversity topics. Encourage diverse mentorships that would teach the mentee new perspectives or ways to tackle a problem. Quantify success using indicators to measure efforts of diversity and inclusion. Host events that celebrate employee differences. And encourage employees to engage with their community through volunteerism. To conclude, let's watch a short video on the importance of diversity in the workplace. Okay guys, sorry that is not going to play for us. Thank you everyone for listening to my presentation, and I wish you all luck for the rest of the semester.